October 1st of 2020, last year, I went to a regional hospital about 15 miles from where I live, and I was scheduled to have a 45-minute outpatient hernia surgery. Well, it turned out to be a lot more than 45 minutes. The doctor who worked on me he's got 17 years of experience, so he knows what he's doing. And he started the surgery, and he was just about ready to sew me up and send me to another hospital. But he decided he'd call in his senior doctor, who's had 27 years in the field, and so he came in, and a 45-minute outpatient surgery ended up being 4 hours, and yeah, 4 hours. So they kept me in the hospital overnight and what they call outpatient observation. And the next day they said, well, there's a lot of swelling and this and that, and we're just going to go ahead and admit you for 3 days. And then at the end of the 3 days, it eventually would have been a week. It would have been on the 8th of 8th or 9th. The following Friday. So that would have been on the 9th of October, when I would have been released from the hospital. Well, that didn't happen, because on the 8th of October, I had what they call a pulmonary embolism, which was basically a blood clot that had stopped my heart from beating. My heart stopped for 19 minutes. I was clinically dead for 19 solid minutes. They told my son that they didn't see any way I was going to come back. In fact, after I was out of ICU and everything, I'd asked the doctors, what is the chances of someone coming back after that long of a time period? And they said, well, 90% of people would die. They just never come back. And so I said, okay, so that leaves a remainder of 10%. Out of that 10%, how many of them would come back fully cognitive and have control of their functions, be able to talk and know what's going on? And he said about half of them. So that's a 5% chance that I was coming back, and here I am talking to you. 5%, 1 out of 20. That tells you what God can do. Numbers mean nothing to him. When he wants to do something, it doesn't matter. When somebody says it's not going to happen, God says it will. It will happen. So anyway, during that 19 minutes, of course, they dumped a bunch of blood thinner through me. They had hit me with the paddles. They broke 3 ribs. It was everything. Of course, I don't remember it, but I was in another realm at the time. Had entered the spirit realm, and it was not typically what most people describe. If you've watched any YouTube videos on near-death experiences, and most of them say you go through a tunnel and you see a white light at the end of the tunnel, and then you can look back and see your body, and then you meet Jesus. That's apparently that's what happens with a lot of people. However, my experience was different than that. I was in a cave, and there was plenty of light. I mean, it wasn't a dark cave, and the temperature was fine. I mean, I was comfortable, and this cave had separate caverns, rooms, whatever you want to call them, and this one in particular, if you stood right at the entrance to it, you could have the answer to any question that you had. It would come to you instantly, and it was a telepathic type of thing. It wasn't. I'd never talked to anybody while I was there. Nobody talked to me. It was just I was there in this spirit realm, and the only thing I had on my mind was, we have time constraints. We operate on time. I mean, we know we get up in the morning, we go to bed at night. That's one day, and then tomorrow's another day. Well, with God, He doesn't have those time constraints. Time means absolutely nothing to Him. A day is like 1,000 years. So I I remember that I knew the answer to the question that I had asked at the time, but whether I wasn't allowed to bring it back into this realm or what happened, I don't know. Right now I can't tell you what the answer to that was. So anyway, I was rather intrigued by that, and at the same time I had a kind of a feeling like, uh, I've I know God, I know Jesus, but I mean I've done some pretty terrible things in my life. I've, things I'm not proud of, and so I don't know how this is all going to work out. And I was taken to another room, and I don't remember being carried there. How I actually got there, I was taken there. It's like I had no choice. And then what I remember was like a plastic bag, a black plastic bag, being pulled over me, and they started at my feet and got all the way up to my neck. And I took it that this was a demonic, evil force that was doing this, and they were about ready to take me, and then all of a sudden, there was another, an angelic type being, whether it was Jesus, I don't know, and they just said, peel back that plastic because we want to look at his chest, and they said, you can't take him because he has the mark of the Holy Spirit. He's a born again believer. You can't have him. And that was it. That was the end of it. And it was just, I knew right then and there that it tells us in the Bible that unless you are born again, you will not see God. And so, I didn't know I was coming back, and I didn't have any say so in the matter. It was just, God decided I was coming back to this world, and even though I know I would have gone to heaven at the time, he had some things for me to do and some things for me to correct. One of the things I had to correct was he told me that you better examine your heart and get rid of any anger or hatred. Don't have any anger towards anybody or anything. Don't allow hatred in your heart. Get rid of it immediately. So that was my experience.